All right, so this is our posture peak exercise area. So this is very, very important to optimal health. We call it posture peak because to be at the peak of your health, you gotta have peak posture. You gotta have great posture. So this is how we start that. So one thing that we hear a lot, and for years I had the type of practice that was very, very easy to administrate and very easy to do, where people would just come in, get adjusted, get their power on, and be gone. And we'd maybe tell them exercises to do or something, but they wouldn't always do them, and so we wouldn't get the results that were optimal. But this is a very, very specific system to be able to restore people's alignment and posture. They come in and do these specific exercises. That way they're warmed up for their adjustments, they get a better adjustment, and they strengthen and hold their postures, hold their adjustments far, far longer than without doing the exercises. So they'll come in and we teach them their specific exercises of what they're going to do. I'm going to give you just a few examples of what that might look like if you came in or if you already come in, and what it might look like to start these exercises, okay? So one of the first most common things is called the pro-lordotic neck exercise, which sounds kind of nerdy, but the lordosis is the normal curve in the neck that over 90% of people are lacking, far over 90%. Because we're like this all the time. We think we used to have postural problems when our mom would say, carry a book on top of your head and walk down the stairs. It's far, far worse with all these electronics and devices that we're using. So the prolordotic is very important, and it's actually quite simple. At the very specific area where your neck is lacking in curve or even in a reverse curve, we're gonna just push our head back and extend our neck as our hands go forward, strengthening our arms and our neck at the same time. And we do usually about 8 minutes of that, and that strengthens, brings our head back over our shoulders, strengthens our arms, our chest, and our neck muscles. Now sometimes this is just one example, there could be dozens. Literally, some people may have their upper back extended at the same time. So we're gonna put a block underneath their upper back. And while they're doing that, they're gonna increase the curve in their upper mid-back as they're doing their neck exercises here. So that's one type that they may do. At the same time on their neck, people may have a translation, and this is what we call the coronal plane. Their head may shift, it may tilt, it could shift and tilt, it could just tilt, it could just shift, it could just tilt, any combination of those. Well, the only way to permanently correct that is actually not adjustments, and usually not even traction, which we do a lot of traction, but it may be actual specific strengthening in the angle they need to do. We hear all the time people saying, oh, my doctor said the only reason that my back hurts is because I need to strengthen my core. If your neck is like this, please do not strengthen and support and leave it that way, okay? Let's actually fix it. So here's how we may do that. There it is. Where's my handy dandy notebook for those Blues Clues fans from all those years ago? So this is a head harness. It may look goofy, but you know what's actually goofy? Is having goofy posture and having your life jacked up and not being able to play golf or play with your kids or grandkids or doing all those things. That looks goofy. So we put this head harness on, and this head harness, as soon as I figure out how to put it on right, even though I do it every day, now that I'm on camera, I can't remember how to do it. So this is gonna go on like this. So let's say my head is shifted off to the right. We're gonna do exercises to guess which way. Everything is in the mirror image. We're gonna go to the opposite direction. So I'm gonna hook this handy dandy carabiner on to the wall. Like this. Then I'm gonna shift my head. If my head is right, I'm gonna exercise by shifting it to the left, keeping my core real tight and trying not to move that at all. We may have to lift a shoulder, we may have to take a tilt out. Everything is very, very specific, but we gotta strengthen, we gotta move it. Those are amazing warm-ups. Out of the studio audience, who thinks I should leave this on for the rest of the thing? The crowd's going bananas for leave it on. Let's keep it goofy, shall we? Okay. So the other thing we might have is a thoracic translation in that same coronal plane. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have a block, and this doesn't have to be done here, it could be done on any wall, but if my rib cage is shifted this way, it may have a bend or it may just be a shift and a curve that way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do exercises where we shift our spine and contract our whole body and shift that and take out that translation. there also could be a bend in there for which we may need a ratcheting system like this. So we could hook it here. Let's say that I just bend like this. That's actually extremely uncommon, but let's say that that's a situation that we have. So we're gonna bend in the opposite way. I'm gonna hook this on the other side, and I'm gonna do strengthening where I unbend my spine that way. That can be done with a scoliosis. That's extremely common. It's usually more complex than this, but that's just a good example of what we might do. Another example is when I have an abnormal pelvic tilt. Maybe my pelvis is tilted too far this way, which usually correlates with my thoracic spine being translated forward. By the way, the only accurate way to know that is with an x-ray. Having someone just look at your pelvic tilt has been scientifically proven to be not very accurate. So an x-ray where we measure what we call the sacral base angle compared to their unique anatomy. We measure their posterior tangent to pelvic incident angle, or pelvic incidence we call it. There's a complicated formula. Go to someone who knows their stuff, please. So how are we gonna fix that? So if I have a pelvic tilt that's too far forward, we're gonna tilt it back, and we're gonna put a block down here, we're gonna pivot around that and tilt it back like that. So oftentimes we'll have a thoracic, we see this kind of shaggy posture, like as in Ruby and Raggy, get some Ruby racks, and his posture's like this. Healthy? Not really, no. So we're gonna have to shift translate our thoracic spine forward, or in many cases backward. So that's a few. There's many, literally infinite number of combinations of things we might do. The other thing that we might do is shoulder rehab. Now, not just shoulder, like a problem in your capsule or your shoulder joint in your labrum, but we may have rounded forward shoulders. This is extremely common too. So we have this crossover symmetry made by some amazing physical therapists. It's a great system, and I'm not going to improve on what they did, but we have a QR code here that people can scan. They just take a picture of that, and it links to me showing each of these exercises. This is an awesome system, and these bands right here do that. So we can strengthen, we can restabilize, we can correct postures. It makes a huge difference. And again, we can have people hold their adjustments far, far longer. We send people off into the mission field for 2 years in Africa or something. They can't always be there where they can get adjusted. So we need to support them to be able to be supportable on their own, though. It's always good when you're in town or near your chiropractor to go in regularly for tune-ups, but when you can't, there should be things that you can do. So there's one more thing I do want to show you, and that is in thoracic park. So that is where we might need a two-way strengthening, and I'll show you what that looks like in one moment. Welcome to thoracic park. So, as I was saying before, we might need a two-way type traction system. So I might need a pulley coming from this side, pulling my rib cage this way, and a pulley here pulling me this way. So I would hook this around there. It's going to shift me this way, and I might need to bend this way. So I need multiple points of leverage in order to optimize. Like a very common cause of this is scoliosis. So I might have a curve that goes one way in my lower back and the other way in my upper back, and I still need to move and strengthen in there. And my pelvis might be shifted to the right compared to this, so I need to shift it to the left. There's very, very complex setups. For that, sometimes we need a two-way pulley system. That's what this is for. Even though it's kind of a posture peak exercise, it's still in thoracic park. So whatever it is that you need, if you have questions, of course, ask us. But this is the state of the art for restoring normal alignment. We exercise, adjust, and traction, which we call the EAT protocol. And we sometimes eat very fun food while we're doing it. So that's another awesome thing. So anyway, till next time, enjoy amazing health through taking fantastic care of your spine and nervous system. Have an awesome day.